So some people have tried to take me to task over the numbering scheme and whether or not this is actually Monster Hunter 6. I had previously put out a video saying that the next mainline title is not Monster Hunter 6, that it's Monster Hunter 8, that we've already gotten Monster Hunter 6. And so some people have actually gone back and commented on that and said, well, you know, you're wrong. This video aged like milk, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you just admit that you're wrong? And for those of you still going on about this, about the conspiracy of the wyvern heads, sorry guys, I'm doubling down on this. I'm tripling down on this. This is not Monster Hunter 6. Oh, I know, yes, there are 6 wyvern heads. I understand that. I can count 2. There's even a stylized, not so hidden number 6 in the logo, isn't there? Yeah, but it's time for the Gaijin Hunter fanboys to face facts. Capcom has directly told us that Rise was a mainline title and that the numbering scheme is gone. So go ahead and keep believing your fantasy that the 6 wyvern heads means Monster Hunter 6. Yeah, some of you are still trying to rationalize it by saying, oh, it's all about the game generation and this is the start of the 6th generation. Well, I'm still waiting for a single one of you to give me a Capcom source on the validity of game generation. The real answer to this mystery of the wyvern heads has been staring you in the face for 20 years, and none of you seem to have the ability to see it. The wyvern heads simply mean that this is the 6th title that Kaname has directed. It's not any more complicated than that. It's his signature on the product. The fact is, Wilds will be the 8th mainline Monster Hunter title, and that's straight from Capcom's mouth. I'll prove it to you. Okay, you guys like counting wyvern heads? You guys like looking for hidden meanings in the logos? Okay, I'm going to prove it to you right now that Wilds is Monster Hunter 8. Pause the video and count how many 6s you see in the logo. Okay, you got it, right? You got your number. You see that one big 6 there, right? Now, count how many 8s there are in the logo. Go ahead. Yeah, look around. Okay, are you starting to see it? Yeah, there's a hell of a lot more 8s than 6s, aren't there? So go ahead and keep calling it 6, or World 2, or whatever makes you happy. Honestly, this title will be more like Frontier 2 than World 2. So all of that aside, so it doesn't really matter what you call it, all right? Just don't get your opinion and your hypotheses mixed up with the reality that Capcom has already told us. What you're about to see in the rest of this video is that the number 6 isn't really very important at all. The most important number for Wilds is the number 2. All right, so why is it called Wilds and what is the setting for this game? Monster Hunter Wilds is more like Monster Hunter Wild Wild West. Capcom has not only doubled down on the so-called Western game elements, but has gone Inception level with this title by patterning the entire world after the 19th century American West. So we're seeing things like large herds of animals, stampedes, lots of mounted functionality, rugged terrain, a hostile environment with a strong focus on foraging and survival. It even influences the weapon design choices that we'll see in this new title over a year from now. All right, so what are those weapon changes? First of all, the first big one I want to tell you about is the insect glaive. The insect glaive is going to get dual kinsects. You're going to get one kinsect on each end of the insect glaive, and the glaive detaches in the middle. So now you have twin stick glaive with 2 bugs, 1 piece in each hand. There's the number 2 for you. It's pretty clear from the logo that Hunting Horn is getting a complete overhaul. This is going to please a lot of you Hunting Horn fans that were kind of disappointed with how it was oversimplified in Rise. The musical staff you see inscribed on one of those 2 wyverns definitely proves this, as does that enormous treble clef that the 2 wyverns are making. Take a look at that. Yeah, you thought it was the number 6, didn't you? Well, that's an easy mistake to make. Now look at those 4 major circles in the logo. Those represent notes on the scale, which means The hunting horn is now getting 4 different notes. Pretty crazy. Yeah, a lot of people were disappointed in the changes that Rise made to the hunting horn. I think everybody's going to be very pleasantly surprised with the changes made to the hunting horn and all of the additional complexity that's getting layered back into the weapon. Next major change we're going to see this time with the bow guns. This is Monster Hunter Wild Wild West after all. So what else but dual pistols? See those 4 circles? And if you add the 5th circle, that circle from the stylized number 6, or I should say from the G clef symbol, you take those 5 circles together, those represent a revolver, often called a 6-shooter. In this case, it's a 5-shooter. Unless you want to call it a 6-shooter based on that number 6 down there. Now these dual pistols will work like bow guns, but you'll have one in each hand. And the cool thing about them is they will have a ricochet effect on their ammo, just like the normal 3 ammo did back in 3U. You guys remember that? Very cool feature. The other nice thing you'll be able to do with these pistols is, just like with bow guns right now in Rise and World, you'll be able to mod them. You'll be able to add modifications to them. And a couple of mods that they have lined up are the quick loader, which is pretty obvious what that does, and a counterweight mod, which will reduce the recoil on your gun. Now we finally have a brand new weapon coming to Monster Hunter, and this is not an old weapon brought back like the magnet spike or whatever. This is a brand new weapon that has been on the drawing board for well over a decade, and that is what the Irish people call the shillelagh. Yeah, this is basically a deadly walking stick. In fact, if you look close enough, you can see one in the trailer. Now you are in the wilds after all. You're going to need a walking stick for all the hiking that you're going to be doing when you're not on your flying mount, that is. This weapon will play like a hunting horn, but faster. All right, it's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be like a club, a small club, rather than a giant musical device. And so you're going to get lots of stun damage with it, and you're going to get lots of very fast attacks because it is a lot smaller. Another weapon everybody loves is going to get that much better. Dual blades is getting a huge change. You can now pick and mix your blades. That's right. You'll be able to customize a pair of dual blades based on the ones that you've already crafted. So if you've got a pair of fire dual blades and a pair of paralysis dual blades, you can pick one fire and one paralysis, a different one in each hand. So speaking of the mount, what is up with this new mount? A lot of people calling this a bird dog. This is actually called a Palaraptor, and it is amazing. This thing has a robust set of attacks. Remember the wyvern riding from Rise? Yeah, your Palaraptor will have a variety of attacks, very similar to what you do when you do wyvern riding. And the Palaraptor has a lot of nice mobility to pull off some amazing moves. In fact, there's even a very cool mini game of sorts built in to the mount. If you pull off the right types of combos and the right types of attacks, you will get bonuses. It's kind of like a Tony Hawk trick system. All right, the cooler the combos you pull off, the more style points you get, the more rewards you get.